At 15, when I just had discovered self-improvement, I was always productive in the morning. I had my full morning routine, waking up at 6 a.m. But everything changed when I came home from school. I'd stroll, play games, eat junk food and goon, only to have all the stuff that I did the entire morning crumble and make it kind of worthless, and then I'd just repeat that over and over again every single day. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you the exact method I used to get out of this painful cycle and the way that I was able to actually spend the rest of my day productively and be proud of myself at night. So first of all, you need to understand why we waste our afternoons and evenings. So as I just quickly mentioned before, when I was younger, what would always happen was I just found self-improvement. I'd meditate in the morning, gratitude journal, do a quick workout. I'd go outside, you'd get some sunlight in my eyes. I'd go to school and think about self-improvement. Then I'd come home and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do some work, I'm going to do this and this and that. Then I'd always end up watching some YouTube as I was eating my afternoon meal. Then afterwards, I'd go in my room, I'd goon, and then I'd lost all motivation at this point. So I would just game for the rest of the day and maybe scroll a bit more TikTok just to get that extra stimulation in. And that was pretty much my life until I discovered this method. And it pained me every single day because I wanted to change and I knew that I could do it because, I was productive in the morning. But I never changed. I kept doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it pained me so much because I didn't know what I was doing wrong. But then I realized that the thing that causes procrastination the most is confusion and directionlessness. When you don't know what to do, when you have no purpose, when you don't have anything that you're looking forward to, and your brain has to think of something to do, it's very hard to do that thing. Our brain always takes the easiest option. That's one thing I've learned over the past years of my self-improvement journey. Whatever your brain thinks is the easy thing, it will do. That's why it'd rather scroll than do your homework, because it's easier to get stimulation from scrolling rather than doing your homework. So, the reason why you keep wasting your afternoons is because you're making the good habits harder for yourself. You're making your brain think about doing them. And I'm going to show you how to kind of reverse this later on. But just think about it. When you go home with no plan, with no direction, with no intention, obviously your brain is going to resort to the easy things that you were used to, which is scrolling, gaming, gooning, all these things, right? That's the exact problem. And another thing is, being burnt out also makes working impossible. Because if you work super hard the entire day, and in school and you're kind of tired, maybe you've even gone to the gym when you came home, it's going to be so much harder to do that work. And when it's way harder to do the work, your brain is going to be even more likely to resort to the easier things. So let me show you exactly how to fix this right now. So, if the things that you're wanting to do in the afternoon are really demanding tasks like homework, working on your business, studying for a project, I don't know, something like that, right? Something that takes a lot of brain power, I'd say don't do it in the afternoon. Use something called ETF. This stands for Eat the Frog. And basically, the analogy goes like this. Let's say me and you were having a meal together, and I said you have to eat a frog, but you get to choose if you want to eat the frog before or after the meal that we're having. If you're clever, which I reckon you are, you'd choose before the meal, because then you'd have the nice meal afterwards that we're going to have together to cleanse your palate, and you'll feel good afterwards. And you'll not have to constantly think about it as you're eating your meal. Whereas if you choose it afterwards, you're going to have to get all anxious thinking about, oh yeah, I have to eat the frog afterwards, and you're going to end off at a bad taste. So, what we do is, in the morning when we have all sorts of energy, this is exactly what I do. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I do all of my work. Now, you don't need to wake up at 5 a.m., but you get my point. I wake up in the morning and literally the first thing I do after taking a piss is that I work, because my brain's not been used for anything. It has all the power and ability to concentrate in the world, and that's why I actually get into flow state. So I'd say do the hard thing first thing in the morning. And number one, it's easier to concentrate in the morning when you haven't done anything. And also, your brain will be less anxious and thinking about, oh yeah, I have to work when I come home. Because my brain will always think, oh, then I have to do the scripts when I come home from school. And then I'd end up procrastinating, because it's when you put it off, your brain just gets more anxious about it. So that is probably the biggest thing we can do, is to try and actually get the other way around it. So instead of trying to do all the hard things when we come home from school, being exhausted, already having all this shit done, Do it in the morning when you have all the energy, and then later on in the day you can do the easier things, which is the method that I've implemented, such as learning or, you know, reading or whatever, right? All these less like hard tasks, or maybe you're going into nature or something like that, less like heavy on your brain tasks, those we can move on later into the day, so that you like it's easier for you to do the things. Like if we choose the easier tasks that you have to do and put them in the afternoon, you're again going to be more likely to do the easier thing. So put the hard thing first thing in the morning, do the eat the frog tasks, and then move the easier things to the afternoon when you have less energy. Think about it. Let's say every morning we gave you like a bunch of brain points. So this is an analogy that I heard from Hamza, and this is basically where he talks about every morning you have like a couple hundred brain points that you can spend on different activities. So let's say the hard work costs like 50 brain points, and then scrolling your phone costs 10 brain points. If you decide to work in the afternoon, then you already spent like 10 brain points deciding what to wear for school, 50 brain points in school, 15 brain points scrolling, 10 brain points deciding your breakfast, and you know, all these things, right? But if you work first thing in the morning, you have spent no brain points. You just get out, literally sitting in your underwear doing the hard thing. And that's the way to fix the problem of being like burnt out. So now let me tell you how to exactly fix the problem with directionless and feeling like you don't really know what to do, and then your brain just resorts to the easier habits. So basically what I did was that I created a timetable just like we have in school. This is a very overlooked thing, but it's very, very powerful. Think about all the different areas or like institutions in your life that have a timetable. It's a lot of places that they do, especially in school. The reason why they use it is because it works so well. Everybody knows that on a Monday it's science first class, then it's math in second period, and then third, you know, it's English, whatever, right? You always know that exact schedule, and we can implement that into our own lives. And I know this might seem like we're going to be like a robot, but trust me, this is going to add to like making the hard things easier to do, because again, remember, the brain wants to do the easiest thing. So if we can make the hard things easier and more effortless to do, this is exactly the method that we're going to use for this. So again, create a timetable. Think about, let's say you get off from like school at 3 p.m. every day, and you're like, okay, once I get home, then I'm going to do no, let's say you don't know what to do when you get home. You want to be productive in the afternoon, but you don't actually know what to do. So these are like the beginner things that I'd say I did back then. So first one is spend time with your family and friends. You can plot that in. Then you can also go to the gym. That's a very good one, because when I try to like stop gaming, I always just train instead, because it takes like a big amount of time instead. So it's kind of like switching out your gaming session with the progress of going to the gym, so you can do that as well. Then you can go into nature and play. You can basically, what I want you to do is say, okay, I come home from school at 3 p.m, then I'll have like 30 minutes to have some afternoon meal. Then at 4 p.m, then I'll go into the forest and go for a walk for 1 hour. And 5 p.m, I'll go to the gym, and then I'll come home from the gym at 6:30, and then at 6:30 I'm gonna read in a book. You know, you have your day like scheduled in, so your brain doesn't even need to think about what it needs to do, because as we discovered before, when your brain needs to think about what it's gonna do, it's gonna do the easier thing. But when you can just put your brain on autopilot and say, we're gonna do this, your brain is gonna do that thing way much more easier. So yeah, create a timetable just like we did in school. And if you want to get into a community where we all have timetables just like we had back in school, you can click the first link in the description. It's the Discord Brotherhood. I think you really like it there. Many like-minded people who are trying to achieve the same things as you, so it'd be really beneficial. I hope you enjoyed the video. Alright, that's it. Put one foot in front of the other.